Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another Saturday Night Fever. I appreciate you all being here. Of course, my buddy, my pal, my friend, my co-host, Chattanooga Ed, thank you for joining me as always. Love having you here. Couldn't do it without you. Good to see you, my friend.
It's always wonderful. You know what? I have two StreamYards up.
That's what I was going to say. I have two of you in the background here. So, there we go. All right. That'll probably make things run a little bit smoother.
That sounded so strange.
I did. I looked down and there were two Eds talking to me. You all couldn't see it, but it was definitely interesting. But hey, what could be better than having another Ed, right? Aww. I do want to say a huge thank you and welcome to Carol Cox, became a member of the Fish Room Fever family, joining the team. Thank you for that, Carol. I hope you enjoy all the little behind-the-scenes stuff and the emojis and all that stuff, and I appreciate the support, and we're glad to have you here. Lots of awesome people in the chat. So many familiar faces. I love it. I was over on Multitank Addiction's channel earlier. I was a guest on his live stream and saw quite a few familiar faces over there, and I appreciate that. It's always good to see you all. We've got an amazing community here, and I see my Fish Tank Barn is lurking. I appreciate that. Thank you, Candy Overhauls, for posting the links there. Appreciate everything you do. And I do kind of want to start out with a thank you. I know normally I reserve that for the end, and we go through and we thank all the lurkers, listeners, and all of those wonderful things. But I want to say up front, I appreciate you all, the mods, the members. You all mean the world to me. The chatters, the contributors, the questioners, the commenters, of course, the replay crew. You guys are awesome. Everybody that's just hanging out, thank you for being here. I can't tell you what it means to me to walk in and just go, oh, hey, look, we've got 2,300 subscribers now. That's awesome, and I appreciate it. I really, really do. I don't say that enough, I don't think. So thank you all for that. Of course, you all are always welcome to throw out questions. If you've got something you want answered, we will do our very best. Again, neither one of us claims to be an expert, but we are always happy to try and give our input on whatever subject it may be. If you put @FishRoom Fever before or after your question, it will highlight for me, and that helps to get noticed a little bit more. We've got about 65 people in here, so that makes it a little easier than 200 people on a Thursday. But nonetheless, that highlight definitely helps it stand out, and I try and catch each and every one of those. We've got, I guess you could say, an interesting topic tonight. I kind of want to talk about the different ways people set up tanks. And I don't mean that in the sense of, well, I recommend you cycle this way versus this person recommends you cycle another way. I want to talk kind of about methods or goals for setting up tanks. And to give an example to clarify that, there are some people that set up planted tanks specifically to be display tanks or show tanks. And a lot of times those tanks will be set up with the aquascaping and the plants as the primary focal point, and then the fish or the shrimp or whatever are just a secondary thing that get added in there. If they get added in, I've seen a couple of tanks that, were made for contests or show that livestock wasn't even a thing. It was just a planted tank.
Kind of like Corvus or Sean Peck, maybe.
Absolutely.
Sean likes them little, Corvus likes them big, but they both like the plants.
Absolutely. Of course, you've got plants that are set up specifically for breeding or profit tanks, whether it's a plants for profit, a breeding for profit. Tanks that are just for sheer enjoyment. Tanks where maybe we look at it and for better or worse, we go, well, this is what I want in it, so this is what's going to go in it. And then you have people that will go the biotope method and they'll say, well, I want to make it as close to this environment as I can. So there are a lot of different ways that we can choose to set up tanks, and I'm curious to hear from you all what your methods are. What do you look at when you're going to set up a tank? Do you look at it and go, well, I prefer to do a nice fancy aquascape, and that's my focal point? And if so, what are some of the key things that you look at in doing that? Do you pick a piece of driftwood? So like me, if I'm going to do a quote-unquote aquascape, I'm going to look at hardscape first. What am I going to use for hardscape? And then what plants will complement that? and I'll kind of try and envision it in my mind beforehand. But I'm also somebody that very much thinks of the livestock that's going in there as well. Before we get too far down, I see some highlighted things, and I saw a super chat from Mainly Bettis. Thank you, Mainly Bettis, for the $5 super chat. It says, weekly shout out to you guys. Happy Saturday and great to see you. It is great to see you too. Hope everyone in chat is having a great weekend too. Yes, I hope you're all having a wonderful weekend. As always, it's great to be here with you all. Thank you, Mainly Bettis, for that. I hope you're doing fantastic, and I appreciate you. Yeah, let me get through here. Oh, sorry, go ahead, buddy.
It's kind of bizarre because I'm currently planning to do 2 different tanks. I'm redoing one and starting a new one up. And one's a 125 and the other one's a 55.
Right.
And the 125 is my Molly tank. And it's boring, you know? So I want to jazz it up a lot. And I don't know if you want me to get too far into what I'm going to do and stuff at the moment. But I think I've been just thinking a lot about what I want to do for the looks, not necessarily for the fish.
Right.
So I am going to sand cap it because I plan on taking every single Cory cat in the house or in here and put it into that tank.
Oh, very nice.
So hopefully I have a little army of Cory cats running around. I thought that'd be neat. But I don't know how. I'm going to let you keep going, and then I'll add to it, or I could tell you everything that I want to do too.
You go right. I mean, I'm curious to hear it. I don't want to have you give away any, video secrets to come. But if you want to share, by all means, I'd love to hear about it.
Me and videos, I film a lot, but I never end up editing and putting it together. Right. I could probably make 35 films, or shorts.
Yeah.
But I am learning, though, how to edit slowly, or at least put things together. Like, I don't know if you saw my last video. I did one of just my aquarium. Because I felt bad. The Tennessee aquarium's really been hurting. And the attendance is super down. They've had to lay a lot of people off. They've closed some of their exhibits. I don't think they're, closed forever. They're just closed because they don't want people touching stuff or
right.
I mean, they shut down the touching the sturgeons. They have a big sturgeon petting area, and it's because they don't have the retired force. They normally have I think they said between 500 and 700 people that volunteer every week. And they're all retired people. Well, they don't have them in the house at all, so they only have the petting area for the saltwater side, because there's 2 different buildings, and the saltwater side's still there, but the freshwater petting zoo area isn't. But nevertheless, I want to do something different. So I bought this black foam. Have you ever used it?
I have not.
Have you ever used any type of spray foam for fish tanks?
Well, not for fish tanks, I haven't.
This one is made specially for aquarium, or for ponds and things.
Gotcha.
You can take rocks, and you use this as kind of the mortar.
Yeah. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's what the Zen Ginger used in her mud skipper video when she was building that rock wall.
Oh my God! How have I not watched this? I'm sorry, Zen. I'll watch that afterwards. That sounds kind of like what I want to do.
She's got a really cool mud skipper video. I'm pretty sure it may not have been that exact product, but I believe it was a type of spray foam, if memory serves me right.
Well, I bought 3 of these things just because it's cheaper to buy them in groups. Right. The next big group is 7, but I think once you use the can, it's done, so you can't just keep using it. I'm not for sure, but I'm guessing that it's going to clog this whole hose and stuff.
Right.
So I want to do the cool type, kind of a mountain where I stick the rocks into it.
Okay.
But I'd rather do a plateau.
Like that.
Kind of. So I wanted to fill it in, and then I'm going to put a few of my real pretty rocks. I keep these with all my different types of rocks, but maybe just a couple of these, squished in.
Right.
Here and there, just to give it, a little look. But I'm hoping to try to grow something like a a moss or something that'll grow down the hill.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
It does. It does.
And so, but I don't want a plant that's going to grow so thick that it's going to cover the rocks.
Right. I got you. I think that would really neat.
And I'd put like a little bowl at the top, and then I thought maybe like some valve or the screw valve.
Corkscrew valve, yeah.
Corkscrew. Thank you. And, on the top plateau, and I know that I'm going to constantly fight it because it runs those little shoots. But if it's on the bottom, the whole thing's going to get covered.
Yeah.
So I thought if I kept it, a little separate, I don't know.
Absolutely.
So that's one of my ideas for the one tank. And then I want to think, has anybody seen, is Maria Z here?
I feel like I saw Maria, but then again, I see her so often, and she does oftentimes hit the replay crew. So I'll keep an eye out. But
she got me this big, awesome piece of Milani, or how do you say it?
Is it Mopani?
Mopani. I even wrote it on my hand, but I don't know if I want to do it sideways or because I really like that look.
I do too.
But yeah, she bought that. She called my local fish store, Aquatic Aesthetics, and bought it for. Well, she gave them a gift card for me, and so when I was buying my stuff, he said this was on her. So nice of her,
Maria. Thank you for doing that. That's so awesome.
Yeah, you see, I love this thing. I wish I would have bought that one piece at the aquarium that had the hole that went through.
Right.
But I bought 3 pieces. I also bought this one for the big tank.
I like that, and you've got a couple different ways you could go with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, you could go sideways and have things going inside. So that's cool. And then this one I bought if I ever do a scape or something at a show. Because I'm constantly buying just pretty rocks for shows too, for competitions.
Right.
But I mean, that's just beautiful. And it's a small piece.
It is.
And so, oh, I'm sorry, baby cat. I'm dropping pieces of wood all over you.
Oh.
But just a beautiful piece. So I thought that might be fun for a show. If we get if I'm off, get an opportunity to be in a show this year and compete, I think that'd be pretty cool.
Definitely, absolutely. So you have, I don't want to say a method, but you like to accrue things and kind of have them available to play with as you put things together.
Yeah, I'm going I'm collecting lots of hardscape behind me. I have probably 10 different types of rocks now and several types of pieces of wood.
Right.
And I am going to, I would put that into the tank and see how that looks, and I'm going to plant it. And I generally wait at least 2 to 3 weeks for my fish because I want the roots to take good.
Absolutely.
I've got a lot of swordtails and mollies. They'll go directly in. But I'll still wait for all the Cory cats before I put them in.
That sounds like a good plan. I'm going to grab some of this stuff from the chat because I'm about 10 minutes behind. Let's see.
Sorry.
No, you are good. You are good. I wanted to hear what you had going on there. I'm always curious to see other methods and what you've got going. Fresh Aquatics says, hey, Fisherman Fever, Chattanooga, Ed, and everyone chilling in the comments. How's it hanging? How's it going, Fresh Aquatics? Glad to have you here. Appreciate you hanging out with us today. Briad Farrell says, Fisherman Fever is starting a betta breeding project. Very excited. I would be too. That is very, very cool. I feel like I haven't been on here in a while because I couldn't make it Thursday. Well, we are glad to see you. And I saw you earlier over on Multitank Addiction stream. I appreciate that. I wish you the best of luck on that betta breeding project. That is not something that I have felt the skill level to undertake at this point. Just because it's never kind of been in my niche, if you will. But that's awesome. And I have the utmost respect for people that can successfully breed bettas. So you'll have to keep us updated. Let us know how that's going. And it's great to see you. I hate stupid people. Says good evening, gentlemen, Fishroom Fever, and Ed. Good to see you again. Saw you earlier with Multitank Addiction. Had a fun time talking to you.
Oh, one of these days I'm going to have to wear my T-shirt that I hate stupid people gave me.
There we go. Let me get back up here because it jumped on me. All right. There is mainly betas. There is I hate stupid people. So we're back on track. We didn't miss anything. Just got to get caught up to it. Fishy Mom 2381. Hello, new name to me. Glad to have you here. Says, do you buy plants for fish from Fish Fam? So yeah, absolutely. A lot of the plants I have at this point have kind of all propagated out from fellow hobbyists. I have bought some stuff from fish stores. I really like to get stuff at shows. That's kind of one of my favorite places to get plants and of course fish and other things. But
it's
I'm
like
always, yeah, it really is. I'm always looking for what's going on with plants. You know, I've got plants from, you know, like you mentioned, Oddball Aquatics, LRB, a whole bunch of different people. Priscilla, MK, Swiss Aquatics. I've got a whole bunch of different Fish Fam plants. I've got plants from Chattanooga Ed. I think I may even have one or two from Bob Kaler. And all kinds of blends after a while. But absolutely, I love getting stuff from local hobbyists, or excuse me, fellow hobbyists in the Fish Fam overall. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, I do have some stuff also from the local fish store, things that I've purchased, as well as things that they have contributed. Case in point, the video I did with Peck Tech on scaping a fluval 5-gallon. You know, the plants were donated either by the pet store, or I think Sean Peck also had a couple that he was like, "Hey, let's try this in there too." So yeah,
and he's giving you plants too. He's giving me plants.
Yeah, absolutely, and fish. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I've got some real pretty inlers from him. They were doing really prolific, but I think now they're all adults and they're eating all the babies.
Yeah.
So I have like 20 of them in there, and it's not growing because, I mean, very seldomly do you see a baby now.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah, no, you're fine. I was just saying, I think mine are starting to thin out a little bit too, and like looking back in retrospect, I'm having the same thing going on. Mike's Aquatics and Things. Wow, that just maximized on me. Dropping the dollar pile of fertilizer on there. Mike, I appreciate you, buddy, helping keep the plants grow in the chat. Good to see you as well. Moonstone Aquatics. How are you, Moonstone? With the $5 super chat, says, does she still even have fish? Winky face. So I'm assuming that goes back to where we discussed Mrs. Fever. She still does have some fish. I think that's where we're going. Forgive me, I haven't slept in a while, so my correlation between things may be a little bit off if it's not directly on what we were just talking about. But I do appreciate the super chat, and I think everybody needs to have fish. You know, if you like fish, I wouldn't force them upon anybody, but I think everybody should have fish, right?
Now, yep. Now let's go back to a Shy story. She was going to try to breed a line of guppies. And did the Jack Dempsey or a Green Terror jump into the tank?
Jaguar cichlid.
Jaguar.
Yeah, hopped tanks and massacre. It was just, there was nothing left. No survivors.
It was probably just sucking them down like spaghetti.
Yeah, that was not cool. Because she put a lot of time sitting there individually picking out the fish out of my other tank specifically for the line she wanted to work on. It happens, unfortunately. Weird, crazy things happen. Furlow's Aquatics dropping the $10 super chat with tons of little piles of fertilizer in there. Says, sending you guys a hello and some expensive fertilizer with the laughy faces. Eric, Furlow's Aquatics, I appreciate you, my friend. Hope you're doing great. I hope they're not working you too hard.
He's an awesome guy.
He is. He is a really awesome guy. I still think you need to go check out his FX6 video, Ed, even though I don't mind helping you set it up.
Yep. It's really my problem is going to be the hoses and stuff. And I'd also like to try to make my own spray bar.
We can do it. I've got one that I did a video on. It's not too complicated.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. I think it'd be neat.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. And it lets you get very specific and tune it in just the way you want it when you do it that way. You build your own. Sean Chadwick dropping a $3 super sticker with the big thumbs up pair. Sean, thank you for that. I appreciate you. Thumbs up to you too, my friend. Rolling and scrolling through here. Make sure I don't miss any questions. Lots of awesome faces in here. I appreciate y'all being here. Mike Fish Tank Barn says, I have used the Black Pond spray foam for my DIY backgrounds. There you go. See, Mike is
Mike's awesome.
He's in a he has got so much knowledge and so many tanks. It just amazes me with the Fish Tank Barn. I love it. I'm kind of envious. If you haven't checked out the Fish Tank Barn, check out what he's got going on over there.
I wish Mike lived closer to us because then he could help us do more things.
He was a cool guy to hang out with at the Big Fish deal. And I've got fish and plants from him, or maybe just fish. Got fish from him.
I have plants from him. I have some Val from him.
That's right. You got the plants. I got the fish. I mean, you got fish too, but.
Yep, I got these Goodiots. It was funny because he gave me 3 fry Goodiots, and they turned out to all be boys. But luckily, my fish club hooked me up, and now I've got little fry now, so it's awesome.
Very, very nice. Paul Sotero, good to see you, buddy. Chiming in on the topic there, says, all my tanks are planted, but the fish are the primary focus. The plants are there for the benefits they provide the tank ecosystem. I'm setting up 3 new 20s, 1 for a pair of discus. Very cool. Always love to hear about new tanks being set up. And yeah, I set up similarly with that same idea in mind, I guess. You know, my thing is the fish, and then I'm going to come in with plants that, you know, provide those benefits or complement the overall ecosystem. So yeah, I'm right there with you. Not that we're saying that any of these are right or wrong ways to do things. These are just personal opinions on how we as individual fish keepers like to set our stuff up. And that's one of the things about this wonderful community. We've got almost 100 people here. We're going to have people that have different ways that they look at their tanks and different ways they want to set them up.
For sure.
Rolling and a scrolling. Paul Sotero again says the discus pair keeps spawning in the 120 discus tank. Oh, well, you gotta love that. Gotta love when the discus won't stop spawning, right? So congratulations on that.
Well, as long as, you know, actually with discus though, you can have too many fry after a while because they start to lose their colors because they really damage sometimes the female's skin, and you have, you know, it's good to give them a rest once in a while, or otherwise they might end up really being ugly fish. I know that sounds terrible. There's no such thing as ugly mother, but
oh, that's a very valid point, and I'm glad that you mentioned that because that could be easily overlooked. Good point there, Ed.
Well, I used to be a discus guy. I learned mistakes. I learned by mistakes, unfortunately.
That's a lot of this hobby, and I think that is also a great part of where the YouTube community plays in because you can go on there and you can learn from other people's mistakes on a much broader scale than just going to your local fish store, trying things in your tank, and hopefully try and prevent some of those things by going, oh, I was going to try that and that was a disaster. I better avoid that. Furlow's Aquatics is Fish Room Fever. Are you and Ed by chance going to the Orlando Aquashella if it actually happens? My wife surprised me with tickets yesterday for it. That is awesome. And yes, that is where we plan to be at if it actually happens. You know, we have tickets from Aquashella last year that we didn't get to use. So that would be awesome to get to hang out with you, man. So hopefully it happens. It's going to be a blast.
Who was that?
Eric Furlow, Furlow's Aquatics.
Oh, awesome. Super cool.
That'd be great to actually meet you. And I mean, that's congrats. That's so cool that she surprised you with tickets for that. That's awesome. You got to keep her there, buddy.
My secret Santa just became a bristlenose.
All right. I saw a couple members pop up there. My chat jumped. Missed a couple things. I'm rolling and scrolling back up. As far up as I can get is... Okay, there's Fish Tank Barn. Good. We're not missing anything. That's always my fear, is that when it jumps, I'm going to miss something. There is now, Furlow with that great news. Yes, sir.
I do set up my standard tanks quite a bit different, though. Those are show tanks that I'm setting up, you know, in my living room. The ones in the fish room, I've been I have probably 10 or 12 different types of substrates, and I pretty much have one go-to now. I've tried them all, and I know it hasn't been over a year like I was planning. I was going to keep rotating, but the sand the sand cap is my go-to because nothing does better with plants. For me,
right?
It's been amazing. I use the father fish method where I use an inch of organic soil and 2.5 inches to 3 inches of sand, and I've been using the pool sand. My pool place here in town probably thinks I'm insane because I've probably bought 25 bags of sand from them.
Absolutely.
I actually need to get another 4 bags again. So,
what is this guy doing?
Yeah, biggest sand pile ever.
Diego at Petzotic/Multiple Aquarium says the Mopani piece would look good with a few Anubias attached to it. Absolutely. I am a huge fan of taking Anubias or Java Fern and attaching it to driftwood. One of my favorite things to do, and it's also a great way to get those plants settled in a tank, since you're not going to want to bury those down in the soil or whatever substrate you're using. For Real Fish Keeper, by the way, in case you didn't know, Multitank Addiction, Chris, that was his co-host, or is his co-host, I should say. It was a pleasure talking to you earlier. I had a lot of fun. Thank you for the $2 super chat saying, hey, you, with that little pair there. I appreciate it. Now, I don't know. She might have outdone you, Ed, because you've got the red beard, but she had a lot of blue going on with that hair earlier.
Well, that's totally fine or cool.
No, I had a great time. It was the first time I got to actually talk face-to-face, so to speak, with For Real Fish Keeper. I encourage you all to go check her out. Really cool stuff. Really fun. And thank you for the super chat. Hopefully we can get together again. I think that it'd be pretty awesome if you and I and Chris and her could all get together and kind of hang out and do a live stream. I think Chris and I talked briefly about doing that at some point. So we'll see where that leads to when we can make that happen. Rolling on through here. Brienne Farrell says, alongside the question from at Fishy Mom 2381, love that name. What kind of fish do you buy from Fish Fam? So most of what I buy in general is going to be live bearers and plecos. So that's going to encompass mostly what I buy from Fish Fam because that's what I'm buying in general. There's no fish that I'm going to look and go, oh, I won't buy that from the Fish Fam. I would buy that from a distributor, or a fish store or whatnot. That's just the fish that I most commonly buy. You know, if I had somebody in the Fish Fam that had like an oddball fish, I wouldn't hesitate to buy it from them versus a pet store just because they were Fish Fam. I'm a huge fan of supporting everybody in the hobby. And if you've got somebody that's kind of working towards helping to finance their hobby by selling fish or plants or whatnot, I encourage you to support that. So I did not technically buy them, disclaimer, but I got my bucktooth tetras, the Exodon Paradoxus from LRB. That's not something that I was necessarily quote unquote looking for, but it was kind of, he needed a home for them. They were right up my alley in terms of me being a huge piranha guy, and just their characteristics and behaviors in general. And I'm so glad that, you know, he made that connection and was like, hey, I want you to have these guys. Because that's a fish I would have missed out on. I would have never thought to say, oh yeah, somebody have these. And now that I have them, I'm like, hey, I think you should really check these things out. Rolling on down through here.
We're being asked what we're drinking. I'm drinking Milo Sweet Tea.
I am drinking, and this is a non-alcoholic beverage. A lot of people think it's an alcoholic beverage. It's an energy drink. The company actually started, funny story, this company started here in East Tennessee. And the very first place I ever found these was in Aquatic Marine, but it was back before it was owned by Kenny. It was in another location owned by other people. And they were, I guess, warehousing the product for this company at the time because it was just a little local startup. And they had this little teeny tiny cooler behind the counter. And I said, let me try those. And that's been years and years and years ago, and I've been hooked ever since. And this company is now spread out, of course, where they're, they were just in Knoxville, and they're all over the state. I don't know how far out they go, but they're in the, all the different gas stations. So that's usually what you will catch me drinking for the most part. But it's got kind of a weird little twist to the backstory on it, and that's another reason that I love it. I found out about these guys at the local fish store, So
that's cool. I wish does Kenny have drinks?
He does. He's got he's got everything from like sodas and like energy drinks and frappuccinos, and he's got a drink cooler set up in there now. So
there is something about buying a drink at the pet store that just or the fish store that makes me feel good.
Absolutely.
I know that sounds silly, but I love finding a fish store that sells some pop, and then I don't feel guilty bringing my pop in. I can drink some pop and look at fish.
Absolutely. Dude, I am right there with you. And like I said, that may sound a little bit odd, but I totally agree. It's just one of those good feeling things. Kim Carwick says, I pick a theme for a tank, and then I pick the fish that suits it best. And there you go. And there's nothing wrong with that. I know a lot of people that do that. I think that has an ability to work very, very well. It's not generally the way I do it, but I love when people do that and it works out.
The people want to know what the drink is called that you're drinking.
It is Neurofuel.
Okay. Let me show you something that I like to do for my fish tanks occasionally.
All right. While he is doing that, I want to say a huge thank you to Chubbs Aquatics. Welcome to the team. Thank you for becoming a member. I see you in here all the time. Huge supporter. Thank you for that. And thank you for joining the Fish Room Fever family. Your little Buddha there.
Yes. I don't do a lot of ornaments. Yeah. Aquarium ornaments. Words are hard for me too tonight, James. Well,
it's gonna be one of those nights.
My best friend from high school, he is now a Baptist preacher, and we used to have a lot of we still have fun. Different type of fun. But whenever he comes over to my house, I like to have Buddhas all around because it freaks him out terribly. So whenever I see, like, I've got a head of a Buddha in one of my tanks with a Nubius growing out of it, this guy's going to go in one of my little betta tanks when I get it going. So I kind of like to sneak some of this stuff in just to mess with my buddy because it's just fun. I had to share that story. Sorry, Jim.
No, you've told me about that, and I absolutely love that story. And I think that's one of those neat little things that you can kind of work into the hobby that's just a fun little quirk.
And they're neat. I like ancient-looking things. So.
I do actually have a Buddha in one of my tanks.
Oh, wow.
I hate stupid people. Welcome to the team. Thank you for becoming a member. Again, another person that I see all the time around the Fish Fam and in our chats. I appreciate you joining the Fish Room Fever family. Be sure when you get a chance, if you're looking for something you haven't seen before, go check out the behind-the-scenes content. There's some stuff in there I think you'll like. And, of course, be sure to play with the emojis in the chat for the members. And thank you. John McKenzie added another $1 pile of fertilizer to the stream to keep the plants growing. Thank you, John, for that. Once again, another awesome name that I see all the time. Appreciate all the support from you and the super chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to, Brant Farrell said, where can I find a zebra pleco? How big of a tank? So I'm not going to recommend a single zebra pleco, which I know they're expensive for just one. So you get more than one, and it's like, but I would really recommend you get a few at least. So it's not just that one solitary zebra pleco in there. You could do one. But in terms of where to get them, I'm going to recommend, wow, now I can't think of the name. If Priscilla's here, she'll yell at me because it's where Priscilla works. Exotic Aquatics in Boulder, Colorado. I don't know if they're still will ship fish to everybody, but I was fortunate enough that Priscilla was able to source some through her work and get them shipped to me. I would say if you're going to buy online, definitely make sure you do your research on reviews and the source. Make sure that it's not just a reputable source in terms of the quality of fish, but also that it is a reputable source in terms of their shipping and that they're having good success with their shipping. Because the last thing you want to do is go spend hundreds of dollars on these fish, and the place you bought them from online, because that's the only place you could find them, half their fish are showing up dead. And I'm not saying that's happening anywhere specifically, but I'm just saying that's one of those things that I'm going to check, especially with something like zebra plecos. I want to make sure that you're like spot on nailing your shipping.
Yeah, that's such a big purchase. You want to make sure that everything's good.
Absolutely. I feel like I missed something. I don't think I did. Oh, there it is. Bottom Dweller Aquatics is best Repashy for common pleco. If you answered earlier, I missed it. Sorry. So I did not answer earlier. I'm sorry if I didn't see it earlier. I've actually not gotten to try Repashy yet. It's one of those foods that's on my list that I really want to try it. I know like morning wood is highly recommended by a lot of people. And
it's hard to find around here.
It is. It really is hard to find.
I've been looking for it for almost 2 years. Bob Kaler will tell you, we've been all over Atlanta, couldn't find it, Nashville, Knoxville, and Chattanooga, and have not found it yet. Because I'll buy it as soon as I find it.
I'm going to go out on a limb. I feel like I've seen it on aquariumcoop.com. I'm sure Candy will correct me if it's not on there anymore. Maybe it was never on there, but I feel like I've seen it on there. So maybe we just need to suck it up and order from there. But yeah, I've not been able to find it locally, and that's something I want to get specifically for zebra plecos, because I've seen a couple people like TM Aquatics, who's awesome pleco guy. But I've seen several people recommending the Repashis for the zebras. In terms of the common plecos, I'm honestly not going to go with what I consider high dollar product like Repashi for them. I'm more likely to add green beans to their diet on top of, algae wafers or whatever sinking pellets or things that you may already be feeding. I don't mean that to sound harsh, but it's not, in my opinion, an expensive enough fish to warrant me spending that much money on the food for it. And it's not a picky eater, so to speak. So for a common pleco, I'm going to say add green beans to the diet. That's another one of those things that, that most of the time common plecos are not getting enough food. And I'm not saying that's the case with you. But green beans is a real easy supplement to help add some variety and give them some additional food without spending a ton of money on high dollar fish food.
You have quite a few people. I was going to name it Zen, but a lot of other people are saying that the co-op does have it.
There we go. Perfect.
And it's not that I don't want to buy things from the co-op. I love the co-op. It's just I generally buy my foods from my local guys because I try to support them. I buy I buy my my Easy Green from the co-op always. It's right here. I love the fry food from the co-op. Yep. But I'll have to try to order some just to try it. Definitely. Dan from Get Gills used Repashy with crushed shells, and he would feed his puffers that, so that way they would wear their teeth down because he would mix it together. And I saved that video, and I said he's a genius. I've labeled it as "Save this." He's a genius. If I ever have puffers, because that's just amazing. And they would go after that, and it's a lot easier than having to buy clams and affordable and everything else. So,
absolutely. Just throw them out. No, I like that. That is a great suggestion. Sabrina Stewart says, I found a local guy to take most of my baby mollies since she just dropped yet another batch. I'm grateful, and he's willing to trade if I need anything. He does a lot of driftwood. That is awesome. Congratulations. I know we talked before. You'd had some questions about what can I do with all these fry. So I'm glad to hear that you found a place for them to go, and I'm glad that you found somebody that's willing to work out some trade with you. There's nothing better than that, being able to trade something that you've got readily available for something that normally you'd be putting money out for. Fishy Mom 64, what's going on, Fishy Mom? With the $2 super sticker with the big foam finger right there. I appreciate that, Fishy Mom. Good to see you, buddy. I hope things are doing well for you over there.
We just got hit by my fish store guy.
Aquatic
Rob,
Aesthetics.
He said he's going to try to get some for me.
Oh, nice.
So that's cool. Get the whole thing in there. Every time he comes on, it's going to be, we just got hit. At least the first time. Just kind of fun. I like that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Skipper's Aquarium saying, hey, Skipper, how's it going? Rescue Dog Treat says, got my order this week and everything was perfect. Thanks for the $5 shipping credit. Also, absolutely. It was a lot easier to just pack that in there than to try and get your information to do a PayPal credit to you. But I didn't like the fact that it was that much of a variance between what the site charged you and what it actually cost me to ship it. So that was just the right thing to do, in my opinion. So we'll be ordering again soon, hopefully when you have more fish available. Yes, so springtime, going to be opening up all of the stock, so to speak, when it's safe to ship and I'm comfortable with it. Because I was having a wonderful success rate until the holiday season, cold weather, and crazy shipping. And I want the fish to arrive alive, and I want the customers to be happy. But I appreciate you. I really do. And I am looking forward to getting open back up, because I've got a lot of cool stuff to share with you all, and I think you will enjoy it. Edgar Reyes says, clean my hang on the back filter. It was very dirty. I hope that got the flow going for you there. It's amazing how much stuff can accumulate in those hang on back filters, and we don't even realize it. And that's why people ask, well, how often do I clean my hang on backs, or how often do I recommend? I recommend you watch the water flow and clean accordingly versus giving you a time frame.
Yep, or do what I do and just never clean it until it stops.
Right, absolutely.
Or until James comes over.
Until James comes over and says, do you have a shop vac so we can get this thing clean?
Now, to be fair, was the shop vac my idea?
It was your idea. I didn't know you had one. Yeah.
I had at least one idea.
Yeah, he did. I'm sitting here like, how am I
shop vac? Don't bother.
And Ed pops out with a shop vac and says, will this work? And I'm like, yes. Mike's Aquatics thing says, I missed the Sumbus today. I will have to go check that out, Mike. Those are beautiful, beautiful fish. For anybody that doesn't know what those are, go check them out. Mike's Aquatics and things. Great videos. Really cool fish that I had not seen before until like him and Ed and HC Aqua and I were all like, I want to buy them. No, I'm going to buy them. No, I want to buy them. And Mike ended up with them. So very cool.
We need to do another one of those late night shopping streams. Basically, that's what we should call it, a late night shopping stream.
Look at that.
What we'll do is we'll both plan on like a little bit of money or something to make it even more fun.
Absolutely.
To actually buy something.
Danny Weiss throwing out an oldie but a goodie for those Tennessee people. You're the only 10 I see. I love it. LOL. Appreciate that. We got the name of the drink. It is not a drink. It's not an adult beverage, if you will.
Wait, at that point.
Let me get back up here.
James, while we're talking right now, I wanted to bring up yesterday, Chubbs, or you know what? It may have been Jess, but she was inviting us to Chubbs when we go to Louisiana. If he's not on the boat, he's going to let us come over to his house and hang out. Hopefully that's okay with him and it's not just Jess's idea. So I just wanted to tell you, Chubbs, that's super cool. And we don't have to go to your house. You can take us anywhere. We'll have fun.
If I have to sneak in to look at fish tanks, I'll sneak in to look. No, I'm just kidding. We're not breaking and entering to film fish room tours. No.
He has all those cool plants that he sourced, from the bayou and the Mississippi. And
absolutely. I gotta love stuff like that. Peplin Creek Aquatics dropping that $1 pile of fertilizer on us. Thank you, Peplin. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Always great to see you. Never expected, but always very much appreciated. You're yet another person that has, for quite a while, continuously supported the stream, and I can't thank you enough for that. Paul Sotero says, since there's not much in this area outside of chain stores, I get most of my fish online. Yeah, that's definitely a very common thing. You know, Ed and I are blessed to have a lot of local fish stores. Tennessee is a wonderful place to be an aquarist, and that's kind of surprising to me given how landlocked we are, I guess. But it really, the amount of aquarists we have here and the amount of availability that we have, it just is amazing. We're very blessed, and it's easy to forget that not everybody has the access that we do.
Yeah, it's so strange because we don't have a huge club anywhere in the state. You know, we're starting up in different spots, and but we do have a bajillion YouTubers also. So it's I love this state. So much fun.
Absolutely. Mr. Fisher is asking if I've ever seen a can of Jim Beam Cola. I have one left over from the 80s. I have not seen one. However, I am also a leftover from the 80s. So a little before my time. But that's very cool. I'll have to look that up just so I can simply take a peek at it. Skipper's Aquarium saying, is there such a thing as brown zebra plecos? I suppose there could be, and I mean that in the sense of a lot of times common names just kind of get created for things. And with zebra plecos being a high ticket item, so like you have things that are referenced as a Colombian zebra. You have several fish that are similar to zebras. They're not zebras, but I think a lot of times they maybe get called zebras because, again, you've got a high ticket fish. You're gonna say, hey, look, this is kind of like that. I don't recall ever seeing a brown zebra, but I'm not gonna sit here and say no, there's no such thing. Just like you could call, you know, we'll go with Neocaridina shrimp because that's a very common one. I could create a line of Neocaridina shrimp, and I'm not saying that the brown zebras were created, but this is just in terms of giving things common names. And I could call them, you know, blueberry Neocaridinas. Does that mean that they're any different, better, or worse than a blue dream? No, it's just one of those things that happens a lot in the hobby. Aquatic Arts. Aquatic Arts is an awesome store. I don't know exactly what that was in response to, but I could definitely recommend Aquatic Arts. They've got a cool setup there too. I Hate Stupid People says Michael's Fish Room uses it all the time. I forget his source, but you might be able to find it in his videos. Yeah, Michael definitely does. I'll have to check that out.
Are you for what? Buying fish?
I think that was for the Rapashi.
Oh, well.
Because he's talked about it. And there's the Zen Ginger posting the link I see there for the co-op Rapashi Morningwood. Thank you for that, Zen. I hope you are doing all right today.
I think I'm just going to wait to see if Rob gets it first. Because, like I say, I prefer to help my local guy.
Absolutely. So minimum tank size for one zebra pleco. Realistically, you would be fine in a 20-gallon, 20 long. Zebra plecos don't get that big. The only issue you're going to run into there is zebra plecos do require, or at least I'll say prefer, a high flow, warm environment that's highly oxygenated. So I bring that up in terms of making a 20-gallon a high flow area might just create a disastrous whirlpool if you don't do it right, versus trying to make high flow areas in a 40 breeder or, you know, even a 29. So keeping that in mind. But in terms of their size, you're looking at maybe 4 inches. So not a huge fish. Doesn't require a ton of room. Doesn't move around a lot. You're not going to see it much. It's one of those, I have it, it's in the safe type of things. And then it's kind of there, and you know it's there, and hopefully you get to see it from time to time. Sorry, go ahead.
Can I just add a little bit to the zebras?
Yeah, absolutely.
James says that, you know, he was saying he wouldn't do one, and it's like if you watch the behavior in his tanks, they like to huddle together. They like to always be next to each other. So if you take this one little guy out, he's not going to have anybody to hug or be, you know, cuddle with, and he might, you know, that's going to add stress and everything else to him. So it's kind of like they, you know, we hear never put one corridor in a tank because it gets lonely. You know, they like to be in groups. And I mean, I have seen it with my own eyes. They all like to huddle together. They're in tight spots. And they're beautiful together. So honestly, I would save up your money and buy 3 or 4. And like, that's about how big they'll get, right? I don't know what to compare that to.
But yeah.
About this. Well,
yeah, I mean, they're not even really going to get that big.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, here, cell phone, about a little less than my cell phone.
Yeah.
And not nearly as wide.
Right.
Yeah, they're just cute little guys. So you can put 4 together and it would be wonderful. It's going to be expensive, but you're buying an expensive fish. You want it to be happy. Plunge completely in.
Definitely. I believe, or at least I know, Jeff Rose Fish Keeping has been going on Saturdays at 9 o'clock. If anybody can confirm that for me, I didn't see a link or anything scheduled the last time I checked. But I'm going to try and get through these real quick because I hate to have unanswered questions. Tennessee Aqua says, what kind of substrate is that in the stream background? If you're referencing this big one directly behind me, that is gravel capped with sand. A little different. That's gravel. And I think those are the only 2 you can see the substrate in mine. Ed, what kind of substrate you got behind you? We'll just cover all the bases.
Boy, I think I have everything. I have Eco Complete. I've got sand cap. I've got the one that starts with an S. It's like clay. CCAM. What's the CCAM Complete? See, you guys, I told you I used like 12 different substrates to try them all. I've got barf sand, or not barf sand, barf gravel, clown barf gravel. I've got black gravel. I've got black sand. I've got playground sand. Horrible. Never do it. Never ever do it because they put clay in it and the corridors constantly stir it. Then I've got more Eco Complete. Sand cap. The gravel, like what James has, that you can get at Lowe's or whatever, HQ. Is HQ around anymore? Quarters? Well, whatever, at a hardware store. And then some ugly rocks that you get anywhere in sand. So that's just in this corner. So I've got stuff everywhere. Sorry about that.
I'm seeing somebody saying, I think he meant the
stratum
background in the picture, the animated background. That is fluval stratum that has been cartoonized in the picture that Ed and I are sitting on top of, if that's what you're referencing. So I think we covered every type of potential substrate that you could have asked about, and you probably learned a lot more about our substrate choices than you wanted to know. Hey, Multitank Addiction, good to see you, buddy. Appreciate you having me on earlier. It was a blast. Brian asking, 2 zebra plecos in a 35-gallon. I would say that's just fine. They're not going to do a whole lot of running around. Just make sure that you focus on getting the flow, oxygenation, and temperature good for them. Should be good. You jump back up here because I missed a couple things. About 5 minutes left, and then I'm almost positive Jeff Rose is going to be on. I think somebody mentioned he was having issues pre-scheduling. So we don't want to run over his time. I felt bad for doing that because I didn't realize he'd started streaming at 9 o'clock. And we're glad to have him back doing that. Fishy Mom, 2381, coming back at you, Ed, with the previous question. Do you buy plants or fish from Fish Fam?
Yes. I have quite a few from Haley. And, well, now you see, Aquatic Aesthetics is my fish store and my Fish Fam. But, so I don't think he counts, but I've got a lot of plants from him. Just like James said, when I go to shows and clubs, I like to get it. Like, I've got some plants that I won because, they do the silent raffles and things. I love to put tickets in and I'll win plants there. A lot of my plants have come from Haley over the years. I got quite a few Haley plants. So, yep. And I have some moss. Oh, I got some moss from Fishy Dreams. I've got like 3 types of moss from her. And I've got some moss from James also.
Yep. So, Tom Patterson, I don't have the answer for this question offhand because I would have to do the maths, and I'm not awake enough to be doing that in my head very quickly. But Tom's asking, 605 gallon per hour, 18-watt air pump, how many tanks do you think it could run? A lot. Let me actually break the math down on that, converted to liters per hour, and cross-reference that to like the aquarium co-op pump I have, and I could get you an answer. And I'll shoot you a message on that. I'm sorry I don't have that for you at the moment. Roll on through here. Rick Silva saying hey from Canada. Hello, good to see you. Appreciate the Canadian.
Oh, for sure. Hey.
Love it, Ed. Fish Room Fever. This is from Paul Sterigis. QVC made all their money with drunk late night shopping. There we go. We just need to start a late night fishy QVC where people can tune into the live stream and buy things after they've had some alcoholic beverages. I like that idea, Paul.
Fishing with holders, eh?
Yeah. Skipper Squarium says they had them at Petco I was at today for $25. Very, very cool. I'm trying to catch up. Don't want to run over Jeff Rose. Don't want to leave things behind. Multitank Addiction was saying no notification, but I made it. I'm sorry you didn't get one, but I appreciate you swinging by. Chris, my brother from another mother. Danny Weish, is there a known Anubias plant that's smaller than Nana Petite? I think I might have discovered something in my tank that I am personally aware of. No. Now, there may be a plant nerd in here, and I'm no expert. That like, oh yeah, there's this one. But as far as I was aware of, the Dana Petite is the small one in the group. Doesn't mean that there's not.
Grab.
I've not come across it. I've not seen it. If there is, I'd love to get my hands on some because I really love the Nana Petite, and I think that you could do some awesome things with an even smaller variant. Bentley Pascal, I feel like he would know for sure, and he would probably have some information on it. Rolling through here, Brian saying, for the Zebra Ideal tank describes my discus tank, warm with a bubbler and strong flow. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Possibly even more flow than what you would want for discus, but I think you could find a very happy medium between the two. Rolling on down. I think I got all the questions. I see a super chat that I did not get from Multitank Addiction. Well, I did not see it previously. Scroll past it. Multitank Addiction with $2 super chat says that would filter one nice tank. Chris, I appreciate you. Again, I had a blast. I really want to get with you again. Like I said, I think you and your co-host and me and my co-host, we all need to get together and have some fun. Have like a little panel conversation, maybe on a Thursday night, maybe on a Saturday night, maybe on a Tuesday. Your stream, my stream. How you gonna do it? Going through here. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. I feel like I may have had a question or two. For real says, going to bed. So good to see y'all. For real, again, it was awesome talking to you. And thank you for being here and hanging out. Have a great night. Brian's saying, don't see Jeff Rose scheduled. Hey, Crystal's Pets and Plants popping in with a hello. Longtime friend of mine. I appreciate you being here, Crystal. And it's good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Haven't talked in a while, but I hope things are well for you, my friend. And there's For Real saying, that's For Real Fish Keeper. I told you I would make it Fish Room Fever. So nice to meet you earlier. And I wanted to say, I'm so sorry I was talking over you. Totally didn't mean to do that on my 6th official live. No problem. You were fine. And then there was that slight delay issue. Not a problem. Ed, I say Ed and I do that a lot. I tend to do that to Ed a lot, unfortunately. Some nights I'm better than others. It was all good. Had a blast. Don't worry about it. No apologies necessary.
Chubbs gave you a $5 super chat that says, bring your nets, we'll go collecting.
Oh, I've got them. I have got them. After going to see Father Fish, I bought some collecting nets. But Chubbs, thank you for that $5 super chat. And thank you for that offer because I'm like a kid in a candy shop. Anybody that saw those videos from Father Fish or Kenny E at Daniken can attest to me neck deep in water with a net just going for it.
Oh, he's amazing. He's a beast. Now, we may have to do that again later in the summer because we might have a third guy, and he's on a work schedule. So I don't know if, we may be like leaving town late on Friday and leaving early, or I don't know, early on Sunday. But so we'll have to see how it goes. But I would love to do that. That'd be fun.
Absolutely. Sorry, I'm just kind of looking to see if Jeff Rose is live. Okay. Jeff Rose is live, so I'm going to get caught up on these super chats and these final couple of highlighted comments. And we're all going to go check out Jeff Rose because I've run over his stream the past 3 weeks unintentionally. But thank you again, Chubbs Aquatics, for the $5 super chat and the offer. All Things Fish says, Anubias pangolino and Anubias chile, or she says supposed to be Chile, are both very, very small, smaller than Nana Petite for sure. I will have to look into both of those. I'm going to have to come back and grab that out of the chat so I remember them. And I appreciate that information, all things fish. Once again, going back to this is why we have community, because the wealth of knowledge between 100 of us is far greater than any one individual in here. Diego saying, I've got some Nana. Awesome, Diego. I'll have to get with you. Priscilla with a $5 super sticker saying, keep it up with that exercise pair. Appreciate you, Priscilla. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well.
That exercise.
Curious to know if you're still coming through town in February. That's very quickly approaching. Mike's Aquatics and Things with that $3 super sticker with the fist bump. That weekly, fist bump. Never expected, but I do always appreciate it. And it's a fun little weekly thing that we do, my friends. Thank you for that, Mike. Once again, roll up here. Hashtag for Jeff Rose. Ed, you want to think of a hashtag while I'm grabbing these last couple of things here?
Oh, man, I'm so bad at hashtags.
We'll come up with something in a second. Then Fantastic Freak says,
snow. He's up in Iowa, and they just got pounded with a lot of snow. I don't know. Does that make sense? Or how about Tennessee warm weather? Tennessee warmth? I don't know. I'm terrible with hashtags.
All right. We'll come up with something. There we go. I hate stupid people. Plain and simple. Hashtag FRF raid. Easy enough. It works. Fantastic Freaks with the $5 super chat. What's going on, buddy? Good to see you. Thank you for dropping by as always. Says, dang, I'm late again. More normality returns to 2021. New puffers, 2 rare ones, and of course the Packers won. Toss a good day. There you go.
Nice.
Gotta love it. Congrats on the win and on the puffers. I need to come check out the videos. You are like the puffer king at this point, in my opinion. I think I got all of them. If I missed anything, I apologize. I appreciate all of you all. I'm going to make this short. Once again, a huge thank you to everybody that's here. The moderators, you do an amazing job, and I can't say thank you enough for that. The lurkers, the listeners, the super chatters, the members, the questioners, commentators, and replay crew. I love you guys. I'm going to turn it over to my buddy Ed for his Let's Go slogan.
Yep. Okay. Don't be afraid to get those hands wet. Keep those tanks clean. And Zen Ginger, we got to do our voting for Christmas. And James.
Absolutely.
Happy Christmas. Lefty begged me to ask you too.
Absolutely.
So,
go check out Jeff Rose. He's doing a 5,000 sub and birthday celebration live stream. It's going on right now. Hashtag FRF raid. I love you guys. I appreciate everything you all do for me. I always hope to live up to being able to do just as much for you all. So until next time, keep your fish healthy. Keep yourselves healthy. Catch yourself a little fish room fever. Take care, everybody.